Oh shit, let's get the fuck out of here. Run! Run! Son of a bitch! Traitors in Hell Part 2, Appointment with the Enemy, is the sequel to Traitors in Hell first book, a fiction, a thriller, and a combination of events which may have taken place in the mafia world, in the political arena, and in the daily life of honest citizens. My name is Weehar Molaesee. I was born in Mola Puglia, the Hill of the Boot, south of Italy. And the followings are excerpts from my book, Traitors in Hell Part 2, Appointment with the Enemy. The numerous meanders, the dangerous slaloms of some of the worst city's neighborhood, the intertwined episodes, mishaps and pain, which I have experienced throughout my entire life, have jeopardized and often made perilous the very complex life of the wicked people who created them, and the future of whoever crossed their evil path as well. Consequences, in turn, wasted no time to trigger an explosion of incidents that were hidden behind one particular event which, almost daily, unleashed a multitude of vicissitudes that will give you goosebumps as you find out about skullduggery which became common practice among the scum of society. The next morning around 11 a.m. I went to a mobile restaurant in Hell's Kitchen, where I was supposed to meet with my ex-business partner. And as I was about to go inside the eatery, a car suddenly stopped, wearing two tucks out, dressed in blue jeans, navy jacket, and a black sailor's cap. He grabbed my arms, as a third one placed a bag over my head while I was being dragged and thrown onto the front passenger seat of the car. Then the driver, who was wearing a ski mask, stepped on the gas and started to drive along 9th Avenue at 25 cautious miles per hour, maybe in order not to arouse suspicions, driving towards downtown. What do you want from me? I asked them. Keep the fucking bag over your head and shut your fucking mouth up, replied one. I didn't think twice before getting my homemade device out of my pouch. And sure enough, and all of a sudden, I felt a cord around my neck. I knew then that I was about to be strangled. And so instinctively, but struggling and almost suffocating, I snapped off the device cap and threw it under my seat, which surely ended up between the guy's legs behind me. The cord around my neck started to feel loose as the device gas was being released, and without hesitation, I took a ball pen out of my pocket and stabbed the driver in the ear, causing him to lose control of the car, which consequently ran up against the lightning pole. I guess you haven't been watching the news these days, asked Jack. No, not that much. But I know that the guys who raided the apartment next door to Weehar are in jail, replied Freddy. They were in jail, said Jack. What do you mean? Asked Freddy. Freddy, they were both killed in the jail's laundry room. The couple must be very happy now, replied Jack. Freddy was the Eye's underboss, second in command. He hesitated to respond. He knew what was happening. Jimmy the Eye had a way to stay in touch with Freddy. In fact, coded messages were reciprocally sent to one another via email, but he didn't want Jack to know. Freddy, are you there? Jack asked while they were still on the phone. Yeah, I'm here, replied Freddy. The reception is no good. said Freddy. "You are breaking up." Then disconnection followed. Jack started to smell something bad in the air. He thought his bosses were causing, which would gravely affect his health. Jack's sixth sense was telling him that something was not right. One night, after he had contacted the two Russians, Kruger loaded the dope in his car and drove upstate to a cabin. When he got there, he parked the car, took the dope, and went inside the cabin where the two Russians were waiting for him. And he noticed that there was a third guy there too, someone familiar to him. But he couldn't connect him with anybody new at that moment. Kruger had to be very careful not to be recognized by anybody though. He was an FBI agent after all. And what he was doing wouldn't be tolerated by civilians or by the law. The three began to negotiate in a tough language fashion. Ultimately, the two Russians reached an agreement to pay Kruger the amount of $200,000 after a back and forth negotiations on strong language. In the meantime, the third person had sneaked back outside, and Kruger noticed that he was talking on the phone. That didn't seem right. Why would anybody go make a phone call while there was an ongoing dope deal? Kruger then took the money, and as he got outside, the young fellow put his phone away without bothering to hang up. Then Kruger started to talk to the guy. "Do we know each other?" Kruger asked. "I don't think so," replied the young fellow. "No kidding." Kruger though didn't believe him, and immediately the ruthless killer stabbed the guy in the heart. Then he screwed the silencer on his 38, bumped a couple of bullets into the guy's body, and went back inside. Yuri Dobrev and Posey Kuvshinov were taking care of the dope, and so fast as a puma, he shot them too. Subsequently, he took back the dope. Son of a bitch, bastard! $75,000 more, then loaded the car and sped away. Sal Positano soldiers caught up with Jack Mona as he was walking to his basement. And as Jack was about to open the door, they grabbed him and ordered him inside. "What do you want?" asked Jack. "Get inside and shut the fuck up," one of them replied. When they got inside the basement, Jack asked again, "What do you want from me?" "The money you owe Sal," replied one of them. "I don't have it," said Jack. "You don't have it? Too bad," the guy said as he hit him in the face with a gun. Blood was running down the Jack's face. The guy asked again, "Where is the money?" "I don't have it," the Jack replied. The guy hit him again in the face and asked him once more, "Where is the fucking money?" "I don't have it. I asked Sal to give me some more time," said Jack. "Not a chance, you're finished." Jack Mona was found a week later under the Verrazano Bridge, shot twice in the mouth and smashed up nose, with his hands tied behind his back, his ankles also tied together, and his mouth covered with duct tape to send someone the message that he talked too much. Congressman Mark Chuya and Louis Sittenby were conducting their own dirty business, which was causing disruptions in our political arena by conspiring with some dishonest Venezuelan and Honduran socialist officials to organize caravan to cause an invasion in our country. Drug dealers, terrorists, human traffickers, and other criminals had infiltrated the caravan and were sneaking into our country, undermining our security. Meanwhile, liberal obstructionist Sclerosis and Hormel, who had become Nobel Peace Prize recipient, I mean piss, yes, piss, just turned into two piss pots as they were doing their dirty maneuvers as well. Do you like politics? Freddie Bolly asked me. Well, today's politics has been washed by the World Wide Web. Freddie Bolly's eyes widened as he heard the phrase World Wide Web sigh. But the West is on free fall, I said. America, like many European countries, may lose her sovereignty. World-known evil financiers Georgi Corso, banks, other financiers, pharmaceutical companies, oil companies, the multinationals, and many other entities are dragging the West into the mud. Many liberal extremists are corrupt, and they are working very hard to destroy this. What many people don't know is that when the West falls, currencies will be abolished, and money will be virtual. A world progressive global government with the most extreme socialist tendency is planning its own credit card, which will impose onto people's pocket. The card will function as your ID card. On the said ID card, there will be your fingerprints, DNA, blood type, your criminal records. Freddie Bolly's look became concerned when I mentioned criminal records. Your social security number, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, your father's name, and an implanted electronic chip to locate you no matter in which continent you are. The next thing the government will do is to make sure you never have a chip on your shoulder. The motive of the implementation of your government ID credit card is to make it almost impossible to evade taxes. How do you know these things? Asked Molly. I research the internet. I click on reliable links, and I try to get as much as informative material as I can. Knowledge is power. As our conversation was reaching the end, the capo and Mr. Protora approached us. How you doing? How you guys doing over here? A pretty middle-aged lady opened the door. Can I help you? Ma'am, we're from the FBI. We'd like to see Mr. Protora, replied Saeed. Oh my God, the FBI, what has he done? Nothing, ma'am. Just a subpoena to testify in court. That's my husband. Tony, come here. The FBI wants to talk to you. Mr. Protora, you have been ordered to appear before the judge, Mr. Schino, to testify at Mr. Danino's trial. The date is shown at the bottom of the subpoena. Okay, replied Protora. Have a nice day, ma'am, Mr. Protora. In the meantime, his worried wife wants to know what's going on. Nudo, sono cose di business. Nothing, it's just business, replied Protora. E perché vogliono a te? Why they won't see you then? Asked the wife. Perché vogliono sapere se io conosco il capo mafioso. They want to know if I know the capo mafioso, explained Pedro. Ma tu che c'ha a dire? What are you going to tell them? Asked the wife. Che c'ha a dire, Giuseppina? Che io non conosco, è finito da. I'll tell him I don't know it, and that's the end of it. Protora lied to his wife. He didn't even know what he was going to tell the judge. Secretary of War's partners in crime used to get together with Danino soldiers to discourage people from opposing globalization. And if that didn't work, they would take extreme action against those people. sometimes even killing them. A progressive presidency is planned to pardon all who had contributed to their electoral campaign, including members of the mafia, would be implemented 30 days after the inauguration of the new president in case of extremist politicians winning. Mr. Danino would have people dissected in quarters while they were still alive by using a very sharp Middle Eastern knife when they messed up or betrayed him. Can you name one person who was got up that way, Mr. Kruger? Asked Judge. Yes, Your Honor. One of them was a man named Gigolone, once Mr. Danino's bodyguard. A Neapolitan who was actually Sicilian, according to Mr. Danino, but without any proof was a traitor, replied Kruger. I object, Your Honor, said the capo's lawyer. Objection overruled. Go ahead, Mr. Kruger, replied Judge Moschino. Your Honor, Mr. Danino stopped at nothing in order to achieve his goals. He'd have his own mother killed if his ambitions required it. Okay, Mr. Kruger, it's time that you be cross-examined by Mr. Danino's lawyer, said the judge. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Kruger, isn't it true that you, a man named Moreno, a member of the most notorious and ferocious criminal organization, the MS-13, and Representative Chuya met to discuss Representative Asitinbai's future? Chuya would pay a substantial amount of money to both you and Moreno for your services, which were as follows. Moreno's task was to kill Representative Asitinbai, and yours was to arrest Moreno immediately after or before he was found by the police, of course, and subsequently take him somewhere deserted to eventually let him go free, asked Danino lawyer. Yes, it's true. Mr. Danino was however aware of the situation. Representative Chuya would contact Mr. Danino for a backup if he ran into a problem. Asitinbai was against illegal trafficking and drugs and all the rest, which was also to Mr. Danino's disadvantage. And that's why he had to be eliminated, replied Kruger. The left most extreme part, the globalist, would not allow its member to quit the organization, replied Kruger. Ma che negna sta succedendo a casa? What the fuck is going on over here now? Mr. Tony, suo figlio mi disse di fare capire che non ne capivo nulla del progetto che fece Weehar. A così la cosa veniva sbagliata e il tempo si allungava. Your son instructed me to make Weehar believe that I didn't understand the project, so it would take longer to complete the job, and therefore create a conflict between you and Weehar, replied Benito Guarini. Quanto ti pagavano? How much did he pay you? Asked Tony. Mr. Tony, suo figlio mi dava la stessa cosa che mi dava Ossia. Your son paid me the same amount you're paying me, replied Benito. Ah, e magari una casa ti comprava. Oh, and maybe he would have bought you a house too, replied Tony. No, Mr. Tony, I don't like to kid around like this, replied Benito. Oh, non ti piace di babbiare così? You don't like to kid around like this? Well, now you're fired, and you ain't gonna get a penny more. Pack your gear and get the fuck out of here right now. And I'm not kidding, Pretora said menacingly. Then Pretora turned to his son and said, I'm gonna get a new contractor. And if you try to sabotage the job again, which you were doing to the restaurant, you yourself will have to look for another job. Now, take a vacation and don't show up here till the work in the restaurant is done. You hear me? Admonished Pretora. In the meantime, downtown New York City, and as Judge Hanson sentences Jimmy Danino to spend his lifetime in prison, the capo di tutti capi orders Kruger's life to be cut short. Ciao. Kruger's in the backyard by himself. Go. Now. Okay. Go. 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 Whoa. Oh, crap. Whew. It's time to go back to my origins. A beautiful place I was named after. My name is Weehar Molaesee. And now I have the pleasure to introduce to you the great maestro Vito Quaranta and his guitar.